Welcome back, and thank you for tuning into Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now let's dive into today's story. The receipt was short. One line. Uber, $42.76, 2:13 a.m. drop-off. Sunset Motel, East Side. Logan Maddox stared at it like it was a landmine. Not because he didn't know what it meant, but because it confirmed something he already felt in his bones. He was never the kind of man who panicked. Years of Black Ops service overseas had trained that out of him. He'd crawled through sniper zones, led raids in ghost towns, survived ambushes that took out half his team. And yet, staring at that single Uber charge on his shared bank account, that's what made his fingers go still. Aubrey was asleep upstairs. Or pretending to be. She always pulled the blanket up just high enough to hide her face. Logan didn't say a word. He just clicked the phone off and placed it face down. Next, he accessed an old drive buried deep in a box marked Tools in the garage. Inside were the remains of a past life, a burner phone, a GPS scrambler, 2 IDs under names no one knew. One said Calder Rich. He pocketed it. By 3 a.m., he was already at the Sunset Motel. No confrontation. No violence. He just parked across the street and waited. A rookie mistake. A beat-up Ford Crown Vic with police decals was in the back lot. Logan knew the kind of car. Rookie cops used it before they earned their take-home cruiser. It had a bumper sticker, "Serve with honor." He almost laughed. The camera lens clicked once. That's all he needed. He took one photo. Reed Baylor, uniform shirt halfway unbuttoned, walking out of room 11, adjusting his belt. Aubrey followed 10 seconds later. Logan's heart didn't race. It slowed. They chose this. So now, he'd choose what came next. What does a man do when his heart is ripped out, and he still knows how to kill without leaving a trace? Wait, I need to tell you something important. Have you ever realized that you keep watching my videos but haven't subscribed yet? This video has reached this point, which means you're enjoying it. So why not subscribe? I have a big goal, 5,000 subscribers, and you can help me reach it. Think about it. If you don't subscribe now, you might miss my next big video. This is the moment. Hit that subscribe button now. Do it now. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss out. I know you'll do it. And when we hit 5,000 subscribers, I have a special surprise for you. Now let's continue story. She kissed him like nothing was wrong. "Morning, babe," she said, holding her coffee with both hands like always. "Sleep okay?" Logan asked. Aubrey nodded. "Didn't even hear you come to bed." That was a lie. She always pretended to be a deep sleeper when she wanted to dodge questions. Logan knew her patterns. The way her eyes darted left when she lied. The nervous touch to her collarbone when she was hiding something. She didn't lie like a pro, she lied like someone who never thought she'd get caught. She moved through the kitchen like it was just another Thursday. The same breakfast. The same good morning kiss. The same mask. "Meeting a client after lunch," she said. "Might run a little late." He nodded. "That the new case with the city department?" "Yeah. Some dumb property zoning thing." Another lie. Logan watched her leave, memorizing every step. Once the door shut, he pulled out the black USB, plugged it into the laptop, and began copying the video from the motel camera. Aubrey and Reed. Multiple angles. Audio was clear. The things they whispered. Logan sat through it with his eyes dead still. "You ever think he suspects?" Reed asked her. "Nah. Logan doesn't care. He's too cold to notice anything." She laughed when she said it. That laugh was going to haunt her. Logan clicked export file. Labeled it Truth 1.0, then he opened a folder from years ago. It was a plan he once sketched for tracking enemy assets without detection. Now it had a new name, Operation Clean Slate. Logan never reacted with rage. He reacted with order. Reed Baylor was exactly the type of guy Logan used to train to outthink in the field. Young, overconfident, always underestimating who's watching. That morning, Reed stood at the local diner counter, sipping burnt coffee like he owned the place. He still had his badge clipped to his hip. The waitress smiled too much when she poured his refill. He flirted back. He always flirted back. You're in a good mood, she said. Reed smirked. Why wouldn't I be? Across the diner, Logan sat under a ball cap, listening. Reed had no idea who was sitting 12 feet away. No idea that the man he'd just helped betray was plotting his professional and personal erasure. Logan didn't want to kill Reed. That would be too easy. He wanted him to fall, slowly, painfully, and with the weight of his own choices. Later that afternoon, Logan visited the precinct. He wore a gray hoodie, jeans, no eye contact. Just another citizen with a tip. He asked to speak to someone in Vice. The officer asked his name. Calder Ridge. He told a story, half true, half bait, about a possible smuggling ring in the East Side Industrial Zone. Cash payoffs, unmarked vans, no cameras, and possibly a dirty cop involved. The moment he said that, interest spiked. The officer nodded. You said you had proof? Not yet, Logan said. But I'll get it. You got someone I can talk to. That night, Logan dropped a tip directly to Reed's email from an encrypted account. Fast cash. Easy grab. No questions. 9 p.m., the docks. Reed showed up. Of course he did. Logan watched from his car, recording it all. One hand held the camera. The other held the first domino. Reed never saw the second camera. While he scanned the alley near the docks, eyes darting toward every shadow, Logan had already installed a microcam inside a rusted fuse box 20 feet above ground. Military trick, always look where no one ever looks. Logan didn't need to plant drugs or create crime. He just needed to create the illusion of one. And Reed did the rest. The rookie walked to a small bag placed beneath a crate. Inside, $5,000 in clean bills, a burner phone, and a note that said, drop spot confirmed. Repeat weekly. Reed looked around, stuffed the cash into his vest, and walked off like he hadn't just stepped into a trap designed by a war veteran who specialized in dismantling operations. Back in his car, Logan reviewed the footage with no sound. He didn't need it. Every move Reed made screamed guilt. He checked the time. 9:43 p.m. Aubrey would be back from working late soon. He drove home in silence. When he walked in, she was on the couch, pretending to scroll her phone. She looked up with her usual forced smile. Long day? She asked. Yeah, Logan said flatly. Yours. She paused. Just contracts and zoning headaches. Nothing special. He sat across from her, studied her face the way he'd studied enemy commanders overseas. Ever feel like something's off? He asked. Her eyes flicked left. What do you mean? Just when people say one thing but do another. She laughed nervously. You're getting philosophical on me now? Logan smiled. That night, while she slept, Logan added a new folder to his encrypted drive. He labeled it Aubrey // OPS / lies. Then he uploaded everything. In war, emotion gets people killed. Rage clouds judgment. Panic ruins plans. Logan knew this better than anyone. So when his wife cheated on him with a rookie cop half his IQ, he didn't scream. He strategized. The next step wasn't violence. It was insertion. Get close. Stay invisible. Control the pace of the destruction. He spent the next few days watching Reed's schedule. The rookie had a pattern. Same gym, same gas station, same fast food stop on Thursdays. Logan used that predictability. He bumped into Reed accidentally at a boxing gym downtown. Same place Logan used to train. You're Baylor, right? East Side Precinct. Logan said casually, taping his knuckles. Yeah. You a cop? Nah, Logan replied. Used to be military. Got out. Staying in shape. Reed smiled. Respect. You Army. Something like that. They hit the bags side by side for 40 minutes. Logan let Reed talk. Talk about the job. The grind. The corruption. You ever think about doing things a little off-book? Reed asked, grinning. Cops don't get paid enough to play by the rules. Logan didn't answer. He just threw a right cross hard enough to make the bag swing. Later, they hit the locker room. Hey, if you hear anything going down in East Side, Reed said, and you want in, let me know. Logan nodded. That night, Logan made a voice note. Subject shows full willingness to cross the line. Emotional arrogance confirmed. We'll take the bait. Timeline accelerating. He closed the file and stared at the blank wall of his basement. You came into my house, he whispered to no one. Now I'm coming into yours. The next sting was more dangerous. Logan rented an abandoned property on the east side under the alias of a fake real estate investor. Inside, he staged the appearance of an illegal exchange, fake IDs, rolled up blueprints, cash bundles that looked real enough. He dropped a tip through his burner. You want proof? Meet me at 11 p.m. Alone. Reed showed. Logan wore a hoodie, his face half-shadowed. He used a voice modulator. No names. Just instructions. You want real money? Logan asked. Start feeding me patrol intel. Keep your mouth shut. Clean cut. No exposure. Reed hesitated for less than 2 seconds. How much? Logan tossed him a duffel. Inside, $10K in clean-looking bills. Counterfeit, but perfect to the eye. Your first gift, Logan said. Next drop in 3 days. Reed nodded. You military? Logan paused. Does it matter? They shook hands. And just like that, the rookie crossed a line he couldn't uncross. After Reed left, Logan swept the room for prints. His gloves never came off. Every object planted was disposable, every surface cleaned twice. He burned the wig, smashed the burner, and drove to a field off Route 28 to bury the voice modulator in a sealed ammo box. Clean. Precise. No trace. At home, Aubrey was already asleep. Or pretending again. Logan stood over her for a moment, watching her breathe. Then he whispered under his breath. You both just made it easier. Logan had Reed right where he wanted him. Dirty, cocky, and blind to who he was really working with. But now, it was time to bring him closer. He created a fake persona, Donovan Reeves, a black market intel broker who dealt in off-the-grid surveillance tools. Logan built a burner phone with a custom voice, an encrypted app, and GPS masking. He reached out to Reed one night through text. You want in deeper? Let's meet. Clean phone. No tails. Reed showed up to the meet in plain clothes, chewing gum like he was walking into a nightclub. You alone? Logan asked, voice disguised through his phone speaker. Yeah. What do you got? Logan handed him a package. Inside were fake confidential files on dirty city officials and audio snippets of fake calls. You leaked this at the right time, and your career jumps 5 years overnight. Reed grinned. This is the kind of thing that gets a guy promoted. Logan nodded. If you're careful. They shook hands again. Reed thought he was rising. He didn't realize he was walking with a knife in his back. That night, Logan added a new entry to his ops folder. Rookie now believes he's operating inside a real ring. Ego expanding. Risk level, manageable. Weakness, status hunger. Then he did something brutal. He made sure Aubrey was laundering the money through a fake legal account tied to the operation. She thought she was helping Reed with legal defense clients. Logan smiled as he clicked transfer. One move at a time. No violence. Just precision. And soon, they both fall under the weight of their own lies. Logan wasn't surprised when he found Reed's secret vice. Most people have one. For some it's greed. For others it's ego. For Reed? Poker. Underground, off-duty, cash-only games. He followed him one Friday night to a basement under a warehouse near Riverbend. A known location, but only if you knew where to look. Reed walked in alone, sunglasses on at night. Classic rookie move, trying too hard to look untouchable. Logan stayed outside, camera rolling. 15 minutes later, he intercepted a runner coming out for air. Logan handed him a pack of bills and a message. Tell the rookie in there that someone's buying his debt. The runner nodded. Inside, Reed blinked when the message was whispered to him. Who? He asked. The runner shrugged. Didn't say. Just said you'll know soon enough. Reed didn't show it, but it hit him. By midnight, Reed was in his car, texting that burner again. We good? Logan replied instantly. You owe me now. So yeah, we're good. By morning, Reed was compromised. Tied financially, tied criminally, and emotionally invested in something he thought was building his future. Logan leaned back in his chair that night and closed his laptop. He stared at the dark screen and said softly, You just became mine, kid. And he meant it. It was raining. Not just a light drizzle, a downpour, the kind that feels like it's scrubbing the sky raw. Aubrey stood by the window, holding her wine glass like she needed it to stay balanced. Logan sat in the corner of the living room, pretending to scroll his phone. She hadn't touched dinner, barely spoken all night. You ever wonder if we just fell apart?" she asked suddenly. Logan didn't look up. "What do you mean?" "I mean, us. You were always gone. And when you came back, you were just gone in a different way." He said nothing. Aubrey turned toward him, her eyes red but not from crying, from guilt building pressure inside her skull. "I'm not saying it was right," she whispered, "but I needed to feel something. I didn't want to disappear with you." Logan looked at her now. Really looked. She was breaking, but not enough yet. "Are you telling me something?" he asked, voice calm. She paused, swallowed. "No, just talking." She walked away. Logan sat in silence. Her words echoed, but they didn't shake him. He'd already prepared her fall. Before the chapter ends, here's a quick question for you watching this right now. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city name in the comments. I want to know who out there is writing this story with us. Which city has the sharpest viewers? Let me know below. And buckle up. It only gets darker from here. Logan knew that most people made their worst decisions in chaos. That's why he created calm and let them self-destruct in it. Aubrey had started flinching at little things, dropping her keys, fumbling her password on her laptop. Her lies were getting looser. She was slipping, and Logan didn't have to say a word. He was watching her with cold precision. Every facial twitch, every time she stared off like she forgot where she was. That's when guilt starts to rot from the inside. He left hints, subtle ones. A folded motel receipt left in her purse. A copy of a police department report on the kitchen table. Her name underlined in red. Not real, but real enough to make her spiral. She asked about it once, barely keeping it together. Did you find anything weird in the mail today?" Logan looked up from his coffee. "What kind of weird?" She shook her head. "Forget it." He didn't smile. He didn't blink. He just let the moment pass, heavy and slow. In the meantime, Reed's stress was mounting, too. The second drop was done. He took the bait, again. But now there were rumors. Someone had tipped internal affairs. Someone was asking questions. Logan fed him just enough fear to keep him close. He messaged the burner. "Stay quiet. Don't panic. It's all part of the play." And Reed, the fool, believed him. That night, Logan opened the folder on his encrypted drive and added 2 new files. Subject A, near mental break. Subject B, deep in trap. Will not see it coming. Then he sat back, looked at the files, and said, "It's almost time to start the hunt." Logan returned to the Sunset Motel, but this time, not to watch. This time, he booked a room. 2 rooms, actually. One across from the one Aubrey had used. The other? For Greer. He checked in under his alias. Same calm face. Same low tone. Same story, just here for a couple days to think. What he didn't tell the motel manager was that he brought 4 pinhole cameras, 2 audio bugs, and a custom motion-triggered mic that could record whispers from across the lot. He installed them cleanly. No fingerprints. No scratches. Each device masked as part of the room: clock radios, smoke detectors, air vents. Military tech. Off-grid. Then he waited. 2 nights later, they showed up. Reed. Aubrey. She wore the same coat she wore on their anniversary last year. He noticed. She laughed the same way she used to when she was drunk on cheap wine. He noticed that too. They didn't know he was across the lot, watching on a laptop, listening through a headset. Inside, they spoke freely. "I think he knows something," Aubrey said. Reed shrugged. "Then we move faster. Once this next thing drops, we're clear." "You think we'll be okay?" Reed kissed her. "We're already okay." Logan hit record all. Every word. Every whisper. Every betrayal. He didn't feel rage. He felt nothing at all. There's a weight to dirty money. It's not just paper. It's choice. Weakness. Ego wrapped in green. Reed took the first cash bag like it was nothing. But Logan knew what it meant. That first grab? It stains a man. He watched Reed enter the rented lockup. He had Aubrey's help. She'd signed the lease through her firm, thinking it was for a fake client. Logan watched the security footage from a hacked feed nearby. Reed opened the bag. He counted the money, smiled, tossed it into a metal drawer. He had no idea every corner of that unit was wired. No clue the security guy who gave him access earlier was a vet Logan once served with. No clue that his prints were now on a fake police report, a burner phone, and an envelope marked City Payoff account. All planted. All traceable. That same night, Logan texted an encrypted message to a journalist at the Courier-Dispatch. Ever wonder what your city's youngest officer of the year is really doing at night? Check this lockup on Friday. Bring a camera. Come alone. He clicked send, wiped the phone, and dropped it into a storm drain. Clean. Precise. Cold. At home, Aubrey was on the phone laughing. Read again. Logan just walked past her. No expression. He didn't even look. But inside, he was counting down. 3, 2, 1. Aubrey was smart. Logan had to give her that. She never used her name directly. She processed everything through shadow clients, third-party invoicing, and legal loopholes. She thought it made her clever. What she didn't know was, Logan built the pipeline she was using. He created a shell corporation under the name GRX Logistics, claiming it was a private transport security firm. On paper, GRX requested legal support for high-risk asset contracts. Aubrey's firm accepted without question. She handled the paperwork herself. She never asked what kind of assets. Logan watched the funds move. He moved $12,000 into GRX, then funneled it back out through an account he labeled Reed Dirty Drop 1. He had every document, every timestamp, her initials, her digital signature. He didn't have to hack anything. She handed him everything he needed. That night, Logan stood in the kitchen, watching Aubrey sip wine. You ever think about starting over somewhere? She asked, out of nowhere. He didn't flinch. What do you mean? I mean, leave the city. Start clean. Just us. Logan stared at her. Her voice was shaking. She wasn't confessing out of love. She was scared. She felt the ground shifting under her feet, and she thought the man she betrayed might still save her. You really think people like us get clean starts? Logan asked quietly. She didn't answer. She didn't know it yet, but she was laundering the money that would bury them both. Logan invited them to dinner. Not directly, of course. He told Aubrey he'd made a reservation for their anniversary week. He played the part of the oblivious husband. Clean-shaven, button-down shirt, a small bouquet of her favorite flowers waiting at the table. Aubrey smiled too quickly, said yes too easily. What she didn't expect was Logan to say, halfway through the meal, I invited someone else to join. Reed walked in, cocky as ever, not knowing who he was about to sit across from. He froze when he saw Logan. Aubrey's eyes went wide. Reed, Logan said smoothly. Glad you could make it. Reed hesitated. Hey. Oh, wow. Didn't know you were married to her? Logan interrupted. Yeah. Easy mistake. Awkward silence. Logan cut his steak. Calm. Controlled. So, how do you two know each other? Neither answered. Small world, right? He continued. Cities full of secrets. Like how everyone's playing someone else. Legal firms laundering for private security. Officers making money off the books. Whole city's a game. Reed was sweating. Aubrey looked like her lungs had collapsed. Logan leaned back, folded his napkin. But games end eventually. He paid the bill. Left a tip. Stood up. Happy anniversary, babe. Great seeing you, Reed. Then he walked out. That dinner wasn't a confrontation. It was a warning shot. And both of them knew it. Logan sat alone in the basement. No light except the screen in front of him. He opened the folder labeled Operation Clean Slate. Inside were subfolders. Aubrey_audio, Reed_video, laundering_docs, evidence_lockup, motel_CM. He selected them all. Compiled into one file. Encrypted. Then copied it onto a USB drive. He labeled it in bold black Sharpie. Truth.exe. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about wiping them out with their own words, their own hands, their own greed. He picked up a small envelope. Inside, The USB A one-page summary, a list of evidence locations, one sentence handwritten at the bottom. They did this to themselves. He sealed the envelope, placed it inside a manila folder, and addressed it to Detective Harris, Internal Affairs Division. He didn't send it yet. Not because he was unsure, but because he wanted them to feel the walls close and first. He wanted them to know it was coming. He slid the folder into a fireproof case, shut it tight, and whispered, "They're almost gone." The room was quiet, except for the pulse in Aubrey's neck. She sat across from Logan at the breakfast table, fingers wrapped tightly around her coffee mug. He wasn't eating, just watching. "Did you sleep okay?" he asked. "Yeah. You." Like a rock. The silence that followed wasn't empty, it was thick. Aubrey reached for the butter knife, her hand trembling just slightly. Logan watched it. Noticed. "You're shaking," he said. She pulled her hand back. "Cold, that's all." He leaned forward. Calm. Flat tone. No threat in his voice, but that only made it worse. "You know, in the field, we used to run lie detector drills. They teach you to watch the little things. Like throat clears, blinks, breathing patterns." Aubrey didn't respond. Logan's stare didn't break. "You know what gives most people away?" She swallowed. "What?" "The pause right before they say something that isn't true." She set her mug down. Eyes wide. Jaw tight. He smiled, softly. "Just something I remembered." Then stood and left the room. Upstairs, he opened his laptop and reviewed the motel footage again. Every interaction. Every touch. Every whisper between her and Reed. The timestamps matched every night she worked late. He had it all. But he wasn't ready to send it yet. He wanted her to crack. Reed arrived at the station that morning and immediately noticed two things. Internal Affairs was parked outside. His captain didn't look him in the eye. He walked straight to his desk, dropped his coffee, and tried to act normal. But his hands wouldn't stop twitching. Then the call came. "Officer Baylor, step into the conference room." His heart sank. Inside, two IA officers waited. Calm. Not aggressive. Not accusatory, which made it worse. They asked basic questions. Routine stuff. "Have you ever had contact with outside informants? Are you familiar with a business called G-Rex Logistics? Any connection to a property on 88th and Redmont?" Reed played it cool. Said he wasn't sure. Said he'd have to check. Said he'd never heard of GRX. He walked out trying to look confident, but his stomach was in knots. What he didn't know was that Logan had already sent an untraceable tip to IA that morning. Just a whisper. Just a suggestion. Someone's playing both sides. "Check the rookie." Reed called Aubrey that night, pacing. "I think someone's on to me." She tried to calm him. "You're just paranoid. Nobody knows anything." He snapped. "That's not what it feels like." Logan watched the call from the background. He'd tapped Aubrey's phone 2 weeks ago. He took a breath, leaned back, and said to himself, "And now we squeeze." At exactly 12:03 a.m., Logan walked out to his truck, pulled a small case from under the back seat, and opened it on the tailgate. Inside, a high-grade surveillance recorder, voice isolated with AI filtering, stolen from a tech contractor during a Black Ops mission years ago. Untouched. Untested. Until now. He booted it up, calibrated it to Reed's burner phone, and let it run. For 3 nights straight, Logan recorded every call, every text, every whisper Reed made. He was sloppy, real sloppy. "How much did you move?" "Just 5K. Enough to play it off." "You sure your girl didn't say anything?" Aubrey solid. "She's not the problem." Logan saved the clips. Filed them under R_self-incriminate, day_3. Then he built a fake thread between Reed and an anonymous contact. He planted evidence of conversations Reed never had, ones that would look even worse if IA ever got inside that phone. By 4 a.m., Logan compiled everything onto a second USB. Labeled it bait. It was never meant to be the final blow. It was meant to force Reed to panic, and in doing so, force him to make a mistake. Logan slid the USB into an envelope and left it under Reed's windshield wiper. No return address. Reed would find it in the morning, and it would wreck him. Aubrey wore the same perfume she always did, sweet, floral, with a sharp edge. But to Logan, it smelled like fuel now. like gasoline waiting for a spark. He noticed everything. How she checked the door twice before leaving. How she triple-locked her phone. How she barely looked him in the eye anymore. He left a gift for her on the dresser, a small silver bracelet she'd mentioned once, months ago, in passing. She gasped when she saw it. "You remembered?" "Of course," Logan said. "You think I don't pay attention?" She hugged him. It was the first real contact in weeks. But what she didn't know was that the bracelet had a micro-tracker and a passive mic built inside. Military grade. Battery life of 4 days. Enough to get her conversations, movement, location. That same night, she met Reed at a small Italian place on the edge of town. Logan listened from 2 miles away in his truck, signal clean through the relay app. "You think he suspects?" Reed asked. "He's acting weird," Aubrey said. "Like he knows something but won't say it." "Should we skip town?" A pause. "No, not yet." Logan closed the app, stared at the rain hitting the windshield. "You won't see the fire until you're already in it," he said. Then he looked at her dot on the GPS map and smiled. 2 nights later, Logan sat alone on the back deck, whiskey glass in hand, fire pit low and flickering. The kind of night that made people tell the truth if the silence was long enough. Aubrey came out quietly, barefoot, sweater draped over her shoulders. "You still awake?" she asked. "Yeah." She sat down beside him, wrapped her hands around her knees. "I keep thinking about us," she said. "How far we drifted." Logan didn't speak. "You were always so steady. But sometimes it felt like you were too steady. Like you didn't need me. Like you didn't feel things the way I did." He looked at the fire. She exhaled. "I'm not trying to blame you. I don't know who we are anymore." "You could have told me," he said quietly. "Whatever it was. You could have just said it." She blinked fast. Looked away. "I wanted to. I swear. I was scared you'd leave me. And cheating was safer?" Silence. A tear finally slipped down her cheek. She wiped it fast, like it didn't matter. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He didn't answer. Inside, the laptop continued recording the conversation, the mic in her bracelet catching every word. Aubrey thought she'd taken a step toward healing. She had no idea that this was evidence entry number 47. 2 days later, Logan walked into the downtown courthouse, dressed clean in a fitted jacket, holding a thin briefcase. Neutral expression. Eyes sharp. Aubrey was standing across the room in front of a judge, representing a zoning client in a civil dispute. It was a small hearing. Nothing major. Until she saw him. Her face froze mid-sentence. Logan didn't blink. He just stood in the back row, arms crossed, watching. She stumbled over her next line. The judge looked confused. Her client leaned in, whispering. Logan didn't smile. Didn't flinch. Just watched. He stayed for exactly 12 minutes. Then turned and left. No confrontation. No words. Just presence. That night, Aubrey called Reed in a panic. He was there. Who? Logan. At the courthouse. Just standing there. Watching me. You think he knows? I don't know what he knows. That's what scares me. Logan recorded the call. Played it back later. Not for the words. For the tone. That tone meant the trap was working. She was unraveling. He poured himself a drink, walked outside, and whispered, "One more push." Reed thought he was untouchable. He walked into the storage unit that night with a new duffel bag, a wider grin, and a swagger that didn't belong to him. Logan was already watching from a rooftop camera nearby, signal beaming straight to his laptop. Reed opened the duffel. Inside, $25,000. Counterfeit, but perfect to the eye. A stack of fake invoices. A ledger tracking drops. And a burner phone with a preloaded voicemail. You're in deeper now. No backing out. Reed stared at the phone. Hit play twice. Then stuffed it all into a floor safe hidden under a tarp. Logan clicked record all. Everything was set. Location bugged. Evidence planted. Timeline logged. Logan smiled coldly. The rookie thought he'd scored big. What he didn't know was that Logan had just moved him into Checkmate. That same night, Logan placed a small package outside the precinct door. No return label. Just a flash drive and a typed message. Watch Unit 310. East Side Storage. Thursday night. Bring a warrant. He knew it'd get passed up the chain. Because corruption like this? It doesn't stay buried. Logan left a plain white envelope on the kitchen table with her name on it. Inside was a key and a typed note. GRX Client Vault. 310 East Side Storage. Legal files. Urgent. He watched from his truck across the street as she found it. The moment her fingers touched the key, her whole body paused. Then she did exactly what he knew she would. She called Reed. "Did you leave this for me?" Reed sounded distracted. "No, but that's the unit I've been using." "Then who? Don't go." "Not yet. I'll check it first." Too late. Logan watched her get in the car. Watched her drive to the unit. Watched her unlock the door, step inside, and freeze at the sight of the money, the ledger, the burner. She didn't touch anything. Just stood there, wide-eyed, shaking. Logan took photos from across the lot. Captured her face in that exact moment. Fear. Real fear. Then he made his move. He sent another message to Internal Affairs. "She's laundering the money. He's taking the cash. You want a clean case? Strike now." He clicked send. No fingerprints. No trail. Just the truth. Weaponized. By noon the next day, everyone at the precinct was whispering. Reed felt it the second he walked in. He caught two officers mid-conversation. They stopped cold when they saw him. He tried to laugh it off. "What, do I have something on my face?" No one smiled back. His captain pulled him aside an hour later. "You been moving cash through East Side?" "What?" "No." "You know anyone named Donovan Reeves?" "Never heard of him." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm sure." "What's going on?" "IA is poking around. Deep. Just stay sharp." Reed went cold. Nodded. Left the room. He called Aubrey from the parking lot. "They're watching me. I think they're watching us." Her voice cracked. "What do we do?" "Nothing. Don't say anything to anyone. Don't go back to the unit. Don't touch anything." "Reed, I think someone set us up." He clenched his jaw. "Who would do that?" Logan sat in his truck a block away, listening through the tapped signal. He smiled quietly to himself. "You did this to yourselves," he whispered. The safe wasn't supposed to be opened. Not by Internal Affairs. Not yet. But someone, maybe a beat cop looking for glory, cracked the floor vault in Unit 310. Inside wasn't just the cash and burner phones. There was a second envelope Logan planted at the last second. Labeled, "Private, for IA only." Inside were printed photos. Old ones. Faded but clear. Aubrey. In a different hotel. With a different man. And that man wasn't Reed. It was Major Elias Greer. Logan's former commanding officer. His superior during his final mission in Kandahar. The man who sent Logan and his unit into a trap that killed 2 soldiers and left Logan bleeding out in a collapsed mud house for 17 hours. And now? That same man was photographed in bed with Logan's wife 5 years ago. Before the war ended. Before Logan even came home. The room went silent when IA saw the file. One of them muttered, "Jesus." Another whispered, "This goes way deeper than a dirty rookie." They made copies. The file would leak within 24 hours. And Logan? He sat in a diner off Highway 82, watching it all unfold on his encrypted laptop. News breaking on a small local outlet. Wife of decorated veteran tied to corruption scandal involving former military commander. He didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Just said, "Now, we play the second half." Logan didn't sleep that night. He sat in his basement, surrounded by printouts, maps, documents, pieces of a life he'd already buried once. And there he was, Major Elias Greer. The man who made sure Logan never left Afghanistan the same. The man who sent him into a no-return op, then covered it up. And now? He was in bed with Aubrey before Logan ever stepped foot back on American soil. It wasn't just infidelity now. It was betrayal from the inside. Logan stared at a printed email, one he had intercepted years ago but never opened. It was short. "Take care of him. You'll get your payout. Just make sure he stays blind." Sent from Elias Greer to Aubrey Maddox. Dated 3 weeks before Logan's return home. Logan's hands curled into fists, but his face stayed calm. "You were never just cheating," he muttered. You were cleaning up someone else's mess. He started a new file on his encrypted drive. Labeled it Phase 2. Greer, the first entry? Were never ended. Just changed battlegrounds. Major Greer wasn't hard to find. He'd retired quietly, settled in an upscale gated community outside Cincinnati. Taught leadership seminars. Wrote opinion pieces for military journals. A man of image. Reputation. But not clean. Logan already knew that. He had the files. The memos. The doctored reports. Now it was time to use them. He created a burner site, clean design, no tracking, no links to him. He uploaded everything, the photos of Greer and Aubrey, the audio of Greer's call authorizing the Kandahar op, the doctored casualty report Logan stole from an Army server 2 years ago. Then he created an auto-scheduled email to 5 journalists, 2 watchdogs, and 1 VA investigator, scheduled to drop in 48 hours. No bluff, just a nuclear strike, buried inside a zip file. Logan leaned back, closed the laptop, and looked out at the morning sun. This isn't just about a cheating wife anymore, he said. Then he stood, calm as ever. This is war. The email went live at 6:01 a.m. By 6:17, Major Elias Greer's name was trending on military watchdog forums, veteran social media pages, and a local news site that tagged it. Decorated officer linked to scandal, affairs, and Operation Cover-Up. By 6:42, the Army's Internal Affairs Department pinged him. By 7:05, Logan was watching footage of Greer on his Ring cam, storming out of his house, phone pressed to his ear, face white as ash. Logan didn't smile. He just took another sip of his black coffee and opened a new file. Final moves, Phase 2. He reviewed the Kandahar report again, the one Greer had altered after Logan's unit was ambushed. 2 soldiers dead. A call for backup delayed by over 45 minutes. Greer claimed it was a comms error. Logan knew the truth. Greer had ordered them into a hot zone without clearance, and then left them there. And now, that old battlefield was back, not with bullets, but with headlines. He stared at the screen and whispered, "You buried men for your reputation. Now I'll bury your reputation for them." It was a Thursday morning when Logan finally saw it clearly. Aubrey didn't just cheat. She didn't just break vows. She hunted power. Logan laid the photos out across the table. Different men, different years. Not just Reed and Greer. There was a city councilman, a legal advisor, a married judge. All of them had one thing in common: status, control, access. And every time Aubrey got close to one, her life improved. New contracts, bigger clients, invites to exclusive events. She didn't fall into infidelity. She climbed it, like a ladder. Logan stared at her photo, taken during their wedding, back when he still believed in her smile. "You didn't just cheat on me," he whispered. "You used me as a placeholder." He added her name to the Greer report. Created a new heading, co-conspirator/legal access manipulation. He knew what would happen when the Army's legal branch saw her signature on those GRX files. The documents were fake, yes, but her intent to assist criminal activity was now on public record. An intent? That's all a grand jury needs to bury someone like her. Logan wasn't just ending their marriage. He was erasing her mask, publicly, permanently. Reed Baylor was unraveling. He hadn't slept in 2 days. His badge felt heavier. His gun stayed closer. Every whisper in the precinct felt like it had his name in it. When he pulled Logan aside at the boxing gym, still thinking he was just Donovan, his hands were shaking. "I need out," Reed said. "This is going sideways fast. Internal Affairs is asking questions I can't answer." Logan wrapped his hands in tape, calm as ever. "You afraid?" Reed nodded. "Yeah, I think someone's setting me up. Maybe someone is." Reed squinted. "You know something?" Logan threw a punch into the bag. "Slow. Methodical. I know how to spot weak men," he said. "And I know how they fall." Reed went pale. Looked around like someone might be listening. "You don't get it," he said. "I'm not like them. This wasn't all me. Aubrey, she pulled me into this." Logan stopped. Turned slowly. "You're blaming her now?" Reed swallowed. She said you wouldn't fight, that you didn't care. Logan looked him dead in the eyes. She was wrong. Then he walked out of the gym, towel over his shoulder, pulse steady. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. Reed had just marked himself for elimination. The second media storm hit harder than the first. Internal memos leaked. Audio clips surfaced. Whistleblower accounts from ex-military personnel appeared in anonymous forums. And Greer? He disappeared. No public statement. No denial. No lawsuit. He went dark. Logan knew what that meant. Greer was scared. Which meant he was close to the edge. He watched the press conference live from his phone. A junior Pentagon spokesperson stood behind the mic, red-eyed and tense. The Department of Defense is conducting a full review of all missions executed under Major Elias Greer. We will be transparent, and we will hold anyone accountable who compromised the integrity of this country's service members. Logan set the phone down. Quiet. In front of him sat a notebook. Inside, one sentence scribbled across the page, over and over. The quietest war is the one no one knows they lost. He crossed out the last word. Wrote, are losing. Because Greer wasn't the only one under fire now. Aubrey was next. Aubrey's phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. Check your email. Now. She hesitated. Opened it. Inside was one photo. It stopped her cold. It was her. Lying in bed. Half covered. Eyes closed. And not with Reed. Not with Greer. With someone else. Someone she hadn't seen in years. The timestamp? 2018. The year Logan came back home. A month after she promised him they'd start fresh. Below the image was one line. You've been seen more than you remember. Her hands trembled as she scrolled. There were more images. Emails. Documents. Stuff she thought she deleted. Stuff she thought never got saved. She closed the laptop and ran to the bathroom. Vomited into the sink. She wasn't scared of exposure. She was scared of who had it and why they hadn't used it yet. That's when it hit her. This wasn't blackmail. This was dismantling. She looked in the mirror. Eyes puffy. Lip trembling. And she whispered to herself, what did I do? Reed Baylor pulled up to the lockup unit around midnight. Paranoid. Alone. He wore a hoodie, gloves, and carried a duffel bag, this time with real cash. He thought maybe if he moved everything, started fresh, he could get ahead of whatever was closing in. But he wasn't alone. A black sedan sat parked down the street. Inside it, Logan watched through binoculars, silent, steady. Reed opened the lockup and froze. Everything was gone. The fake documents. The counterfeit money. The burner phones. Even the safe. Empty. Reed spun in circles, heart racing, breathing loud in the silence. He turned to leave, but a voice came from the dark. Not loud. Not angry. Just calm. Looking for something? Reed stopped cold. Logan stepped into the light. No mask. No aliases. No more pretending. Reed's face dropped. His mouth opened, but no words came out. You, he said, breathless. Logan nodded once. It was you. I told you, Logan said. Weak men fall fast. You just fell first. Reed reached for his waistband too slow. Logan was already gone, vanished into shadow. Reed stood alone in the cold, heart hammering. That night, a final package landed on his doorstep. No label. No sender. Inside, a flash drive. A list of his crimes. A video of him and Aubrey. Bank transactions. Logs. Footage. And a note. Tell the truth. Or the truth will tell itself. Logan didn't wait for Reed to confess. He just made it happen. The next morning, a thumb drive landed on the desk of Detective Julia Harris, Internal Affairs. Inside, full video of Reed counting illegal cash, audio of his deal with the fake Donovan Reeves, timestamps matching every suspicious patrol night, and at the center of it all, his affair with a married woman connected to a laundering firm by noon. The plan was in motion. Reed was called in under the pretense of a department meeting. 2 IA officers were waiting. They played everything. No yelling. No accusations. Just press play and watched his soul drain out of his face. You want to talk now, Detective Harris said, arms crossed, or wait till it hits the press? Reed looked around the room like someone would save him. No one did. He asked for a lawyer. Across the street, Logan watched from his truck. He didn't cheer. Didn't celebrate. He just whispered, "One down." At 7 p.m., the story broke. Rookie cop tied to bribery, affairs, and illegal evidence manipulation, exclusive footage inside. The news station didn't hold back. They ran a full 3-minute package with blurred footage, leaked phone logs, voice clips, and a blurred still of Aubrey in the storage unit. By 9 p.m., her phone lit up like a wildfire. Texts, calls, clients backing out. Her boss forwarded the link to the video with one line, "We're going to need to talk first thing tomorrow." She called Reed 6 times. He didn't answer. Then, a new message came through. "Unknown number. This is what truth looks like. Hope you saved a parachute." She threw the phone across the room. It shattered. Her reflection in the dark window looked like someone else. Someone guilty. Caught. Cornered. And she was. The next day, Aubrey walked into her law office wearing sunglasses and a scarf like that would hide her from headlines. But everyone already knew. She passed coworkers who wouldn't look at her. Others who looked too long. The receptionist whispered something and turned her monitor. Inside the conference room, 2 partners. One HR rep, a man she didn't recognize from legal ethics. No small talk. "You've been named in a federal corruption tip. Your name appears on documents tied to laundered funds. You're currently under internal review, pending suspension." Aubrey opened her mouth. "Don't," one partner said. "Everything's already in motion. You'll be notified when you're no longer welcome on site." She stood, trembled, could barely breathe. The door closed behind her with a thud. And just like that, the firm she helped build dropped her like a body. At home that night, she stared at a blank wall, wine glass untouched, phone powered off. This was no accident. This was precision. She knew now. Logan was behind it. But it was too late. The silence in the house was louder than any scream. Logan stood in the living room, surrounded by wedding photos, framed degrees, little souvenirs from a life that never really existed. Everything was placed just right, too perfect. He picked up a photo of their wedding day. Aubrey was smiling at the camera. Logan wasn't. He was looking at her. And now? He saw it differently. It wasn't love in her eyes. It was strategy. He pulled the gasoline can from the hall closet, poured it along the carpet, across the furniture, over the couch they once sat on like strangers. He stopped at the photo wall, took one frame down, and smashed it face first on the hardwood. Then, calmly, he lit a match. The flame caught fast. Quiet at first, then hungry. Orange glow on the glass, on the wood, on the lies. Logan stepped outside, walked to his truck, and didn't look back. As the fire climbed into the sky behind him, he whispered, "You built this house on someone else's back. Now you can watch it turn to smoke." The courthouse lobby was packed. Cameras, journalists, angry citizens, former clients. Reed arrived in cuffs, shirt untucked, face pale. Every step screamed guilty. Inside, he didn't fight the charges. Wire fraud, misuse of authority, evidence tampering, conspiracy. His plea deal was simple: roll over on everyone involved or face 25 years. And Aubrey? She wasn't there. She was already facing her own hearing, this one behind closed doors. The state bar had fast-tracked her review. When she walked into the panel, they handed her a file and said, "This is every recorded interaction tied to your signature and name over the past 9 months. You'll want to read it carefully." She tried to explain, to spin it, to blame it on love, on manipulation, on poor judgment. But the panel didn't care. "You're not just suspended," the lead investigator said. "You're done. We're filing for permanent disbarment by Friday." She stood, shaky, red-eyed. "You can't do this. You did this." The woman snapped. "We're just printing the paperwork." The town changed after that. People talked quieter. Neighbors looked at each other longer. The headlines faded after a week, but the whispers didn't. And Logan? He stayed silent. No gloating. No public statement. No cleanup. He walked the downtown sidewalk one morning, unnoticed, cap pulled low. He passed the courthouse, the diner, the gym. Places where he used to be invisible. Now, people noticed. They didn't say it, but they knew. One man nodded at him. Logan nodded back. A woman at the coffee counter gave him an extra muffin without charging. Said, "On the house," without smiling. He sat at a bench in the park. Alone. Breezy afternoon. He'd won. But he wasn't smiling either. Winning cost something, too. He leaned back and looked at the sky. And for the first time in a long time, he wasn't thinking about revenge. He was thinking about what comes next when the war you started is over and you're still standing in the ashes. Montana was quiet. Too quiet for most men. But not for Logan. He'd been there for 3 weeks now. No news, no calls, no threats. Just the stillness of Flathead Lake, the scent of pine, the way the wind moved like it wasn't carrying anything heavy anymore. He rented a cabin up a dirt trail, cash deal. No name, no questions. Chopped wood in the morning. Fished in the afternoons. Read old books he barely remembered buying. But peace? Peace didn't feel like anything. It was like sitting in a theater after the movie ends, waiting for more that never comes. He'd won. But there was no ceremony. No closure. No applause. He tried to feel proud. Tried to feel clean. Instead, he felt done. That night, he poured a drink and sat out on the porch, wrapped in a worn flannel. The stars were thick above him. He whispered into the dark, "You got what you deserved. All of you." But the wind didn't answer. The letter came folded, clean, no return address. Just a single page inside, typed. No heading. No apology. It said, "You didn't just hurt me. You ended me. And maybe that's what I deserved. But you watched me fall. You waited for it. And that's worse than anything I did. I loved you. Maybe not well. Maybe not faithfully. But I did. I just couldn't reach the man you became. I always knew you were watching." Logan read it once. Then folded it slowly. Sat still for a full hour. Didn't move. Didn't speak. And then, he burned it. Not out of anger. Not revenge. He just refused to carry it. It was early morning when the knock came. 3 sharp taps. No one ever knocked out here. Logan opened the door slowly, .45 in his hand, just in case. A woman stood there. Late 30s. Wind-chapped face. Tactical boots. Eyes like someone who'd seen exactly what he'd seen. "You Logan Maddox?" she asked. "Used to be." She nodded. Held out a file. Inside, photos. Logs. An old file marked Maddox Protocol, Classified Emotional Detachment Program. 2014 draft / Greer oversight. His chest tightened. He flipped through. His name. His mission logs. His psych records. A red stamp. Subject did not consent. Operative compromised. She looked at him and said, "You were never supposed to survive Kandahar." He stepped back. She stepped forward. "I worked with the whistleblowers. I saw what they did to you." Logan stared at her. Dead still. "Why now?" "Because you didn't just take down a dirty cop or a cheating wife." She paused. Let the words land. "You exposed a hidden program. And now, people want you gone for good." She didn't say much at first. Just sat across from Logan at his kitchen table, sipping the bitter instant coffee he'd made without asking. Her name was Natalie Bishop. Former intel contractor. Turned whistleblower. She'd been trying to track Logan down for over a year. "I used to work for Greer's command chain," she finally said. "Not directly, but close enough to hear things I wasn't supposed to." Logan didn't blink. "You knew about the protocol?" She nodded. "Not everything, but enough." She reached into her coat and slid over another folder. Thinner. Older. He opened it. Inside, a mission briefing stamped with a date he remembered too well, 3 days before his team was sent into that village. The mission that ended everything. Except this version of the file was different. It wasn't marked Standard Recon. It was marked Psychological Durability Field Test. Maddox, live conditions. Logan's throat went dry. "You were the test," Natalie said. "They wanted to see what a morally grounded soldier would do when isolated, abandoned, betrayed. Not just by enemies, by command, by country, even by home." He stared at the file like it was written in a foreign language. Because this meant everything he lived through was engineered. The mission. The silence. Even Aubrey. Logan stepped outside, folder in hand, wind hitting hard against his face. He needed to breathe. Natalie followed him, quietly. You weren't just left behind, she said. You were monitored, observed. The way you responded, the control, the silence, the precision, that's why they kept you in rotation. You were their perfect weapon. Logan gritted his teeth. So what? They conditioned me to become this? No. You were always capable, she replied. They just cut the brakes. He turned to her. And Aubrey. Natalie hesitated. There's a theory. I can't prove it. But she wasn't just random. What does that mean? After the war, Greer took control of your reintegration assignment. He had access to who you were placed with. Where? When? Logan's voice dropped cold. You're saying he gave me a life designed to destroy me. Natalie didn't answer. Because she didn't have to. The fire in Logan's chest wasn't rage. It was betrayal, older and deeper than anything Aubrey had done. They'd trained him to feel nothing, then dropped him into a life meant to break the man who refused to be broken. That night, Logan sat on the dock behind the cabin, staring out at the lake. No gun, no drink, just the folder in his lap and the sound of water moving like slow breathing. Natalie sat beside him, no words between them. For hours, neither spoke. Finally, Logan said, You ever wonder if they went either way? Natalie looked over. What do you mean? They push you until you break. And if you don't, they take away everything that mattered. So either way, you're hollow. You're not hollow, she said softly. He didn't respond. The sun started to rise. Light hit the trees, hit the dock, hit the man who had burned his enemies to the ground and still didn't feel clean. He closed the folder, then whispered to himself, They made me feel nothing, and that's what scares me most. Natalie handed Logan one last document. This one was never meant to leave the base. It was your psychological evaluation, done before you even deployed. Logan flipped through the file. The words hit like old shrapnel. Subject demonstrates extreme emotional suppression masked as discipline. Believes loyalty must be earned, not given. Highly functional in chaos, but resistant to civilian reintegration. Recommend inclusion in long-term field analysis, Maddox protocol. Unaware of classification status. Continue without disclosure. He closed it. Couldn't read more. You weren't broken, Natalie said. They just labeled you that way. And Aubrey? He asked again. Natalie shrugged. Whether Greer planted her or just saw her as an asset, we may never know. He stood slowly, face unreadable. I don't care anymore. Why? Because she's not part of the war I'm finishing. Logan didn't cry. Not when he read the file. Not when the mission went bad. Not when he watched Aubrey shatter everything they'd built. But that night, something cracked. He sat by the fire in the cabin, listening to an old song on vinyl, something soft, almost forgotten. And his hands shook. Not from rage. Not from trauma. From grief. Grief for the two men who never made it out of Kandahar. Grief for the man he used to be. Grief for the years he spent inside a life built on false ground. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and whispered, I don't want revenge anymore. Natalie, sitting across from him, didn't say anything. You ever think we were supposed to die out there? He asked. She nodded. Yeah, but we didn't. And now we get to choose what that means. Logan looked into the fire. He finally felt something. Not hate. Not cold. Just tired. At sunrise, Logan packed a single bag. No weapons. No files. No USBs. He left a letter on the table for Natalie. No dramatic language. Just facts. Names. Contacts. People who might help if the system ever came knocking again. Then he walked down to the dock. Sat for one last hour with the stillness. He didn't need to watch Aubrey suffer anymore. Didn't need to see Reed sentenced. Or Greer dragged through the courts. He had already won. Because he wasn't living in their world anymore. He'd taken everything they built on lies and burned it. And now? He was done playing the game. He dropped his old dog tags into the lake. Listened to the splash. Then stood. And walked into the woods. Not as a soldier. Not as a husband. Not as a weapon. Just a man. A man who had finally let go. 2 months later, a news anchor sat behind a desk, reading from a breaking report with practiced calm. This morning, the Department of Justice announced indictments related to the Greer corruption files leaked earlier this year. Among those facing federal charges, retired Officer Elias Greer, disbarred attorney Aubrey Maddox, and former patrolman Reed Baylor, whose cooperation with investigators led to a deeper probe into veteran exploitation programs. The screen cut to footage, Greer in cuffs, Aubrey being escorted from her home, face covered. Reed in court, eyes hollow, lips sealed. It played like a closing chapter. The files, anonymously leaked, have yet to be claimed by any individual or group. But the depth of detail suggests an inside source with intimate knowledge of classified operations and a personal motive. Cut to a journalist voiceover. Whoever exposed this didn't want fame. They wanted justice. In a roadside diner 2 states away, a man in a gray flannel shirt sat at the counter. He stirred his coffee. Quiet. Calm. The TV behind the counter ran the story, volume low. The waitress leaned over. Crazy, huh? The man nodded once. Guess someone had a plan, she said. He left a tip. Finished the coffee. Walked out the door into cold morning light. No name. No trail. No mess. Ended them clean. The sun hit the lake like glass. Logan stood at the edge of the dock. No shadows behind him. No noise left in his head. No more secrets. No more war. The Maddox protocol was dead. So was the reputation of every person who tried to weaponize his life. Greer? Done. Reed? Exposed. Aubrey? Erased from every courtroom that once respected her. Justice wasn't served in a headline. It was served silently, behind the scenes, by a man who never raised his voice, but never missed a move. He didn't need credit. He just needed peace. And for the first time, he had it. He walked back up the path toward the woods, no phone, no name, no trace. Only one sentence written on the note he left behind at the cabin. They broke their own code. I just reminded them what happens when you do. Now if you'd made it all the way here, let's talk. Just you and me. How did it feel? Logan Maddox's story wasn't just about a cheating wife. It wasn't just revenge. It was about control. About truth. About silence becoming the loudest answer in the room. And now, I want to hear your voice. Drop a comment below, tell us where you're watching from. What hit the hardest for you? Whose downfall felt the most earned? And if you want more bold, cinematic stories just like this one, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves dark revenge tales, and tap that subscribe button and the bell icon too, so you never miss the next drop. We're building something here, not just stories, but stories that leave a mark. This was Green Beret's savage plan after wife cheated with rookie ended them clean, and if it hit different? Tell us. We'll be reading the comments. See you in the next one.